Single dad chef discovered a heartwarming recipe that transformed a crying baby and changed a bite of life forever. In a cozy suburb of Chicago, a single father named Jake stumbled through the darkened hall of his home, cradling his colicky baby daughter, Lily. Each shriek pierced through him, sharp as knives, echoing his heartbreak. His dreams of culinary greatness twisted in the shadows, stifled by sleepless nights and plagued by the absence of his late wife. Once the celebrated chef of a trendy restaurant, Jake now found himself lost in a world of baby wipes and unanswered cries. His passion for cooking sat simmering on the back burner, forgotten and neglected. One evening, as he paced the wooden floors of their modest home, grief hung in the air like a thick fog. He struggled to rock Lily back to sleep, his heart aching yet again for the laughter that once filled their home. Suddenly, the gentle, knowing voice of Mrs. Thompson floated through his thoughts. The elderly neighbor always seemed to appear when he needed her most, bringing warmth and kindness along with a side of wisdom. The recipe for love stew. Jake remembered her words. A dash of this, a dollop of that, and a sprinkle of hope. It can heal the heaviest of hearts. Skeptical but desperate, he decided to give it a try, swearing it would be a tribute to his late wife. He searched his pantry, gathering ingredients and pouring his heart into the pot. As garlic and herbs danced in the air, the aroma began to weave through the house like a warm embrace. To Jake's astonishment, he turned his gaze back to Lily, whose cries began to fade. Giggling, she clapped her tiny hands, the warmth of the stew enveloping them both. In that small moment, his heart swelled with the kind of joy he thought he'd never feel again. It was as if their love transcended even the deepest grief. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emboldened by the connection he felt while cooking, Jake signed up for a local cooking competition. It was an opportunity to reclaim his identity, the chef who once dazzled with flavors and flair. But when faced with a rival from an affluent background, self-doubt crept in like an uninvited guest. The whispers from the judging panel echoed in his mind, taunting him about his past and questioning his worth. As he stirred pots under the glaring competition lights, Jake battled with the shadows of anxiety. Each day brought moments of triumph mingled with harsh wedges of reality. He reflected on what truly mattered: the love he shared with Lily and the unwavering support of their community. As they witnessed his struggles, neighbors rallied together, organizing a fundraising event to help him reclaim his dream. Standing before a crowd, smiles filling the room, Jake was faced with the ultimate question: would they see him for the hopeful father he was or merely as a competitor? The clock ticked down, and as he gripped his spatula, he realized the true battle wasn't he against a rival chef but deep within himself. Would he choose ambition or family? In that breathless moment, hope surged, pushing him to step into the light for Lily, and for himself. The air felt electric as Jake stood there, spatula clasped tightly in his hand. The crowd's faces blurred before him, transforming into a sea of expectations and hopes. He could hear the murmuring, the quiet encouragement that pulsed through the room. It filled him with a fierce determination. This wasn't just about himself anymore, it was about Lily, about fighting for a future where smiles replaced tears. As the first round began, Jake focused on the ingredients displayed before him. Fresh vegetables, spices, and the warmth of his memories enveloped him. Each time he sliced, stirred, or sautéed, he felt a sliver of his wife's spirit moving through him. She was there, cheeky and teasing, making jokes about his chopping skills, urging him on like the relentless cheerleader she always was, but just as quickly as that warmth swallowed him up, doubt crept back in. As he glanced over at his rival, a chef adorned in fancy gear and confidence, an unsettling reality clawed at him. What if I'm not good enough? He thought. The glimmering trophies and accolades behind her felt like a million miles away. Suddenly, he remembered Lily's giggles from last night, the way she had laughed as he twirled her in the air. That pure joy anchored him, reminding him why he wanted to win, why he needed to reclaim his passion. The thought of providing a stable future for her fueled the fire within him. And with that, he set his focus back on his station, crafting flavors as if they were tangible threads weaving their story together. The timer ticked down. As Jake plated his dish, he fought with every ounce of his being to pour his heart into it, not just for the judges but for Lily, a love letter of flavors from a father to his daughter. An artful arrangement of colors blossomed on the plate, like a garden in spring, vibrant, full of life. When the judges came around, one sampled his dish first. Slowly, she savored each bite, her eyes lit with surprise. Then another followed, a third, all nodding in appreciation. Their smiles sparked a warmth inside him, and suddenly he felt capable, like he belonged right where he stood. But as the final moment approached, tension twisted in his stomach. The crowd hushed, anticipating the announcement of the next round contestants. Jake held his breath, longing for his name to break through the tension like a sunrise. "Ladies and gentlemen," the host called out, "the competitors moving on to our final round are." It felt like a lifetime waiting, but as the name rolled off the host's tongue, Jake couldn't believe it. He was still in this. Overwhelmed with joy, he looked into the audience, searching for Lily. She was smiling, her tiny face illuminated with the pride only a child could possess. In that moment, everything he endured felt worth it, but with the excitement brewing, a chilling thought crossed his mind: if he won, what would come next? Would this competition truly change his life, or would it simply lead to another challenge? Jake's heart raced with uncertainty as he realized the stakes were higher than just a title. It was then that Mrs. Thompson's words echoed in his mind again about love stew being a recipe for healing. Would he have the courage to face whatever came after this competition? As the final round approached, Jake knew he had to find out if he could balance triumph with his love for Lily or if everything would slip away once more. And as he prepared for the next challenge, a question lingered: could he unlock the secret to a future filled with hope and love, or was it always going to be just out of reach? Jake took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment press against his chest. The lights were brighter, the chatter of the audience faded into a dull hum, and he could sense the urgency of the next task. He was standing at the doorway to something bigger than himself, holding on to the slim hope that each dish he prepared could change not just his fate, but also that of Lily. That the final round promised excitement, but all he could think about was the promise he made to his daughter. "I'll always come through for you, kid." He forced a smile, trying to calm the storm of anxiety that swirled within him. The stakes had never felt higher. With that thought firmly lodged in his mind, he stared at the table of ingredients laid out before him. They seemed unclaimed, waiting for him to breathe life into them, just like he'd done before. As Jake moved to the stove, he couldn't help but look over to his opponent. She was already in motion, expertly whisking a sauce while lacing it with a series of delicate herbs. Jake watched, momentarily mesmerized by her prowess. Doubt nagged at him. Could he keep up? He shook off the fear. This was not about competing with her. It was about creating something meaningful, something that spoke to a world aching for warmth and comfort. His hands began to move methodically. He reached for a firm tomato, slicing it open to expose its vibrant flesh. The scent burst forth, drawing in a familiar memory: Lily's giggles as they picked fresh tomatoes from their small garden last summer. Inspiration ignited inside him. He wouldn't just cook for himself or the judges, he'd cook for her. Each chop and stir became a prayer. With every ingredient he added, he could almost feel Lily's small hands helping him. A pinch of love, a sprinkle of laughter, he murmured under his breath, channeling their joyful moments into the dish. The bubbling pot grew fragrant with promise, each scent swirling around him, igniting a determination he hadn't realized he was capable of. As he worked, he sensed the atmosphere shift. The audience, once a distant blur, began to lean in, eyes filled with curiosity and warmth. Jake caught snippets of whispers and laughter. He felt a connection to the crowd, as if they shared in the hope he was pouring into his dish. He wanted them to feel love in every bite, just as he did when he fed Lily, but then came the moment he dreaded. The timer ticked ominously in the background. He had to finish and plate within moments. Anxiety gnawed at him, and he rushed to finish his final touches, hands trembling slightly. Would he lose it all in a rushed moment? No. He could hear Lily's voice cheering him on, "You got this, Dad." With a steady hand, Jake plated his creation a colorful medley that showcased the ingredients in radiant harmony. It felt right. It felt like home. Then he stepped back, taking a moment to breathe, to embrace the accomplishment that had nothing to do with winning or losing, but everything to do with love. As the judges approached, anticipation danced in his chest, but his focus remained. They tasted, their expressions shifting from curiosity to delight. With each nod and satisfied murmur, Jake's heart soared. But as the timer counted down the last seconds, doubts crept back in. What if it wasn't he enough? What if they couldn't he feel what he felt? Just as he was about to spiral, he saw Lily, her small figure bouncing with excitement in the crowd. In an instant, he realized that winning wasn't just a trophy or title, it was the love he poured into every step, every little act of preparation. The thought brought a smile to his face, then, a voice echoed through the room, breaking through his thoughts. And the winner of this culinary challenge is. Time froze again as the world around him faded, heart thrumming within his chest. Would he hear his name? As silence enveloped the room, Jake's breath caught. He could hardly move. Whatever happened next, he knew he had tasted something greater than victory today. But would that be enough to secure their future? The moment drew near, and everything hung in the balance. The room was electric with anticipation, and Jake's heart hammered louder than ever. The silence felt like a living thing, wrapping around him, thick and heavy. He held his breath as he waited, every second stretching painfully. The judges exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. "Jake!" The voice finally broke through. The woman from the panel, her eyes sparkling with warmth, gestured toward him with a triumphant smile. "Congratulations! You are our champion." In an instant, a wave of relief washed over him, transforming the weight on his chest into a buoyant lift. He blinked, half expecting to wake up from the dream this could not be real. But there was Lily, her face beaming with pride. His little girl was jumping up and down, and soon he found himself swept into a whirlwind of cheers and applause. He was the champion. The trophy they handed him felt heavy, but not from the weight of competition, more like a promise. It represented everything he had poured into this moment, every sleepless night, every sacred wish he'd made for a better life for Lily. As he turned to the audience, their collective joy flooded him with a warmth he hadn't anticipated. He beamed back, his heart swelling with gratitude. "This is for my daughter," he announced, voice cracking with emotion. "Every dish I create, every moment I spend in the kitchen, it's for her." The room erupted with applause, and he felt the power of their support like a gentle embrace, but just as beauty shone brightly, the shadows danced ominously on the edges of his happiness. What came next? With victory came the inevitable unknowns: financial struggles, doubters, the looming pressure to maintain this level of success. As he returned to the table to collect his things, he spotted his opponent, who wore a thin smile. There was something deep in her eyes, a flicker of competition mixed with recognition. She walked over, extending her hand. "Congrats, Jake. You really did pour your heart into it." "Thanks," he said, trying not to let the weight of her gaze stir the uneasiness beneath his exhilaration. They chatted briefly, sharing war stories from the competitive kitchen. Yet, as they spoke, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that, against the backdrop of celebration, life continued to toss challenges his way. "Are you ready for what's next?" she asked, her voice serious now. Jake's stomach dropped. Was he really ready? What would winning this mean for them? What if he failed to follow through? Just as those thoughts loomed, Lily trundled over, wrapping her little arms around his waist. "Daddy, you did it!" she squealed, eyes shining like stars, erasing the tension for an instant. "Yes, we did it, kid," he replied, bending down to scoop her up, the warmth of her embrace grounding him. But even as joy flooded him, an unsettling doubt poked at his mind. Would this win be enough to change their life, or would it just be a pretty moment in a long journey of struggle? As they walked out together, hand in hand, Jake gazed into the bright lights of the city ahead. They had their victory, but the road was still unwritten. "Whatever happens next, I promise to keep cooking for you, Lily," he whispered as they stepped out. Later that night, Jake sat at the kitchen table, the trophy sitting prominently between him and Lily's scattered homework. "Dad, can we make that recipe you cooked today?" she asked, and he saw a sparkle of hope in her eyes. They could share this moment forever, a bright memory in an unsteady world. Just then, his phone buzzed, drawing his attention. A message from a well-known restaurant owner asking to discuss future opportunities. His heart raced. This was it, the chance to step into a new world where he could embrace his passion. But the looming question nagged at him. Was he ready for what lay ahead? And could he handle the challenges that would test him beyond the kitchen? Jake took a deep breath, excitement laced with anxiety, ready to face whatever came next. Would stepping into that new chapter stabilize their future? Or would it lead them down a treacherous path? The next morning felt different. Jake rubbed the sleep from his eyes, a fog of possibility swirling around him. The trophy still gleamed on the table, a silent reminder of yesterday's triumph. But today, he faced a new reality. Lily's laughter reached him from the living room, her infectious joy filling the small apartment with warmth. He smiled, the sound igniting a fire in his heart. Today was a new day, and alongside it, fresh opportunities. Jake poured himself a strong cup of coffee, breathing in the rich aroma. He glanced at his phone instead of ignoring it. The message from the restaurant owner was still there, a beacon of hope in the early morning light. He tapped the screen, considering the gravity of an answer. What if this was the chance he'd been waiting for? "Daddy? Can we make pancakes?" Lily chirped, bouncing into the kitchen. Her hair was a wild mess of curls, and her eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "Mommy used to make them just like this." A pang shot through him at the mention of Lily's late mother. It was a reminder of what they had lost, but also of what they still had a chance to create new memories. "Of course, kiddo," he replied, lifting her up for a quick spin. She squealed, her laughter ringing out like music. As they gathered ingredients, Jake felt the weight of his past mix with the excitement of the future. They whisked together eggs and milk, flour dusting the air like fairy dust. With every flip of the pancakes, he thought about the restaurant owner's proposal and the world outside that seemed just within reach. When they sat down at the table, steaming pancakes stacked high, Jake watched Lily devour her breakfast, syrup dribbling down her chin. "These are the best," she exclaimed, her eyes wide with delight. "Just like Mommy used to make?" he asked softly, hoping to keep her cheerful mood intact. "Yes. And now you are my chef," she declared, pointing her fork at him with a flourish. Jake's smile faded slightly. The enormity of her words sunk in. He wanted to be her hero, not just in the kitchen but in every aspect of life. What if the next step took him away from her? He wanted to provide, but at what cost? The phone buzzed again, jerking him from his thoughts. It was a call from a private number. He hesitated, glancing at Lily, who was happily stacking her empty plates. Curiosity gnawed at him. He finally answered, heart thumping as if it might burst. "Hello. Jake. This is Martin from Contra Cafe," the voice on the other end boomed, firm yet excited. "I want to discuss your win and how we can make magic together." Jake's pulse raced. Could this be the beginning he dreamt of? "Absolutely," he replied, forcing back the overwhelm. "Let us meet tomorrow." "I want your ideas, your vision," Martin continued. "Sure, that sounds great," he managed, excitement bubbling through his veins that he hung up, staring into space, contemplating how to explain this to Lily. Would she understand if he had to leave her with a sitter? He wanted nothing more than to chase dreams, but his heart tugged him back home. "Daddy, are you coming to my class project today?" Lily asked, her smile dimming as she noticed the frown on his face. The question swallowed him whole. Could he balance this new venture and still be present for her? "You know I wouldn't miss it for the world," he promised, pulling her into a hug. As they wrapped up, he watched Lily giggle over a funny pancake design he created. Heartwarming, heart-heavy. What choices lay ahead? Tomorrow would be a turning point, a chance for a brighter future that could shine just as brightly for them both, or shatter the delicate balance they held. What if this bold step began a journey away from the closeness they cherished? Just then, a wave of determination surged through him. They would face whatever came next together. But deep down, doubt lingered like a shadow. Would it be enough? Jake looked out the kitchen window, the sun casting a golden hue on the city awakening outside. The road ahead was winding and unclear, but he felt ready to travel it, if only with Lily by his side. Could tomorrow promise both opportunity and peace? How far would he go to ensure their future remained a sweet one? The sun peeked through the kitchen window, casting playful patterns on the floor. Jake poured himself another cup of coffee, hoping the caffeine would somehow give him clarity. He looked at Lily, who was busy racing her toy cars across the table. Her unshakable joy was a stark contrast to Jake's swirling thoughts. "Kiddo, are you excited about your project today?" he asked, trying to sound cheery. She looked up, raising her eyebrows. "Yes. We're making a big poster about the moon. And I want to tell everyone about the stars too." Her smile lit up the room. "That sounds amazing," he replied, impressed. Maybe he wasn't the only one facing a new adventure. They finished breakfast, and the laughter echoed through their little home. Jake couldn't shake the thought of the upcoming meeting with Martin. What if this was the opportunity that could change everything, a chance to finally chase his passion while supporting Lily? The thought both thrilled and terrified him. As they got ready, he found himself silently rehearsing some ideas he had for the cafe. He thought about recipes, menu concepts, and even a theme that encompassed both comfort and creativity. But every time he got excited, doubt slipped in. Was he ready for this? When it was time to leave, he bundled Lily into her favorite jacket. "We're going to make a stop on the way to school," he said, with a conspiratorial grin. "Where, Daddy?" Her eyes sparkled with curiosity. "To the park," he answered, already feeling a warm tug at his heart. A little adventure before the big day seemed perfect. As they strolled through the park, the crisp air nipping at their cheeks, laughter surrounded them. Children chased each other, parents chatted on benches, and the scent of fresh grass filled the air. Jake watched Lily swing with abandon, her giggles dancing on the wind. "Higher, Daddy. Push me higher." She squealed. He obliged, his heart swelling with pride. In this moment, nothing else mattered but her joy. He could be both a dad and a chef. It didn't have to be one or the other. The realization hit him like a splash of cold water. He could make it work, maybe even find a way to incorporate some family recipes in the cafe. As they left the park, Lily held his hand tightly, swinging their arms back and forth. "Are we going to the cafe too?" she asked suddenly. A flicker of uncertainty crossed his mind. "Not today, pumpkin. But don't worry, I'll take you there someday. You'll help me with the cooking." Lily nodded, her excitement undimmed. "I want to make the biggest pizza ever." "Now that sounds delicious." He chuckled, ruffling her hair. Arriving at school, Jake knelt to her level. "Remember, I'll be there for your project later. You're going to shine." With a bright smile, Lily bounded away, her curls bouncing as she waved back at him. He felt a mix of pride and longing watching her disappear into the school building. He took a deep breath, gripping his phone tightly. The meeting with Martin loomed over him, both thrilling and daunting. Was he about to step into a world that could either lift him up or bring him crashing down? Jake walked back to his car, a storm of thoughts swirling. A new chapter was waiting, but as he climbed inside, he realized he had a choice. He could find a way to juggle life, love, and ambition. As he pulled away, his phone buzzed with a reminder of the meeting. Anxious anticipation settled in his stomach. What awaited him would surely change everything. But how would he manage it all? With determination stealing his resolve, Jake drove home, heart racing with hope and fear. Would he truly be able to balance his passions while keeping their world together, or was he about to step into the unknown alone? The road ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear: the love for his daughter would always light his way. What awaited him at the cafe could change everything, but what if making that leap cost him the very thing he cherished most? Jake parked in front of his house, his heart thumping like a drum. The meeting with Martin had been highlighted on his calendar for weeks, but now it felt real, tangible, like a storm rolling in. He took a moment, sitting in silence, listening to the hum of the engine, feeling the weight of decisions pressing on his shoulders. He had always wondered what it would be like to own a cafe. Cooking had been his sanctuary, a way to escape the chaos of life. But now it was about so much more than just cooking. It was about creating a future for Lily, about hope and dreams and a chance to build something lasting. Just breathe, he told himself, running a hand through his hair. Focus on what matters. As he stepped out of the car, a gust of wind caught him off guard, lifting the leaves into a swirling dance. The sight made him think of Lily's excitement for her school project. The moon and stars. What if he could create a menu inspired by those celestial wonders? Chocolate moon pies, star-shaped cookies. Ideas blossomed in his mind as he hurried into the house to jot them down, gathering the scattered papers and pens at the kitchen table. Jake's phone buzzed yet again with reminders and notifications. Each buzz felt like a tether to normalcy amidst the whirlwind inside him. As he scribbled down his thoughts, he found himself smiling at the absurdity of it all. Cooking had never been about the pressure of success, it was the joy of creation, the happiness shared over a meal. With each word he wrote, the tension in his chest began to fade. He imagined the cafe bustling with families, laughter drifting on the air, the warmth of good food drawing people together. But then his thoughts drifted back to the meeting. What if Martin didn't see the potential? What if he faced rejection? The last thing Jake wanted was to fail and have to explain to Lily why he had to give up on his dreams. The weight of that fear pinned him down like an anchor. Glancing at the clock, he realized it was time to go. He needed to gather his courage and make a case for himself. As he walked through the door, the sunlight poured in, illuminating dusty motes in the air. It felt like a sign, a bright reminder that even in uncertainty, there was beauty. He took a deep breath, absorbing the moment before stepping out into the world. The meeting place was a cozy coffee shop, filled with the rich aroma of brewing beans. Inside, he spotted Martin seated at a table near the window, sunlight framing him like a halo. Jake's nerves kicked up again, but he pushed them down, remembering Lily's laughter, her dreams. As he approached, Martin smiled, his expression warm and welcoming. "Jake. Good to see you. I've been looking forward to this," he said, extending a hand. "Thanks for meeting with me," Jake replied, trying to sound braver than he felt. "I've got some ideas I'm really excited to share." Jake sat down, his heart racing as he began to outline his vision, infusing family heritage with creative cuisine, weaving stories into each dish. Martin listened intently, nodding as Jake spoke with more passion than he thought he possessed. Just as Jake began to relax, Martin interjected, "But Jake, do you think you can really handle this with your, responsibilities at home?" A spark of doubt flared, igniting his fears again. But as he looked into Martin's eyes, Jake remembered the joy of Lily swinging in the park, her laughter echoing. "I can make it work," he asserted, surprising even himself. The conversation shifted, a realization dawning on Jake: this wasn't just about the cafe. It was about his ability to dream, to provide, and to love fiercely. As they discussed numbers and strategies, Jake's confidence gradually swelled. By the time they finished, he had painted a picture of not just a cafe, but a haven for families, children giggling, parents bonding over shared plates. "Let's give this a shot, Jake," Martin concluded. "I think you've got something special here." Happiness flooded through him. Jake's heart soared, but as they shook hands, he knew the journey had just begun. Leaving the cafe, he couldn't wipe the smile off his face. But as he stepped outside, a lingering thought tugged at him: how would he balance his dreams and being a dad? Jake pulled out his phone and sent a quick message to Lily, telling her about his day. Then he paused, glancing back at the cafe. Could passion really coexist with fatherhood, or was he setting himself up for another challenge? With the sun setting behind him, Jake knew the answers wouldn't come easy. But as he drove home, he felt a spark of determination. What if this was only the beginning? Pulling into the driveway, the warm glow of the porch light welcomed Jake home. The house was quiet, but he could feel the rhythm of life pulsing inside. Lily would soon be back from her friend's sleepover. As he stepped through the door, he found the kitchen in a state of delightful chaos. There were dishes stacked up to the brim in the sink, remnants of Lily's projects scattered across the table. A half-finished watercolor of a moon stared up at him, a vibrant splash of blues and whites, capturing the night sky perfectly. His heart swelled. With every intention of tackling the mess, Jake paused for a moment. He picked up the painting, running his fingers over the delicate brush strokes. Lily had a way of making magic out of mere paper and paint. Just then, his phone buzzed again. It was Martin, a follow-up with numbers and the promise of a meeting next week. Happiness bubbled up within him, but a knot of anxiety twisted his stomach. Could he truly juggle both his vision and being a present dad? Before he could overthink it, a lively sound erupted from the living room. Lily's giggle floated in from the various toys strewn across the floor. She must have just returned. Jake placed the painting down and headed toward the laughter, his heart lightening with each step. As he entered the room, he found her surrounded by her stuffed animals, playing some elaborate game that only a child could dream up. Her face lit up like a Christmas tree at the sight of him. "Dad! Look!" she shouted, gesturing to the small teddy bear wearing a paper crown. "King Snuggles is in charge of the royal party." Jake crouched down, feigning a royal bow. "Your Majesty, I have come to bring you a most important announcement." She clapped her hands in delight, her eyes sparkling. "What is it, brave knight?" "I have a recipe that will make King Snuggles the happiest bear in all the kingdom." He held her gaze, realizing just how important this moment was. It made him forget the chaos and the looming pressure of responsibilities. "What kind of recipe?" Lily asked, her curiosity piquing. With a burst of inspiration, Jake leaned in closer. "I call it the galactic smoothie. It's like drinking the stars. You need blue blueberries, bananas from a moon, and maybe a sprinkle of magic." Her eyes grew wide, and a smile stretched across her face. "Can we make it? Can we?" "Of course, my queen. But first, the ingredients are scattered across the land of the kitchen." Jake waggled his eyebrows, eliciting a delighted squeal from her. Together, they embarked on a whimsical quest to gather the ingredients. Little feet pattered down the hall as Lily rushed to help, her excitement palpable. Every moment felt enchanted. In that vibrant kitchen filled with laughter, Jake was reminded that this was what it was all about: sharing moments, creating joy, and building dreams together. As they threw open the fridge, the colorful fruits caught the light, and his heart began to swell yet again. They blended the ingredients, giggled at the ridiculousness of it all, and created a smoothie that looked like a work of art. "Cheers!" they exclaimed, laughing as they tapped their glasses together. With each slurp, Lily's eyes sparkled with delight, her laughter infectious. But just as quickly as joy surrounded them, a sudden frown crossed her face. What if King Snuggles doesn't like it? What if it's too green? Jake's heart sank at the hint of insecurity in her voice. "Oh, sweetheart," he said, kneeling beside her. "Just like dreams, not every recipe works out the first time. But the fun is in trying. And King Snuggles loves you, he'll love whatever you make." That revelation lingered in the air, filling Jake with warmth. They might face challenges ahead, just like every recipe would require a few tries, but the memories they made were the most important ingredients of all. Suddenly, the phone rang, snapping him back to reality. It was Martin again, but before he could answer, he felt Lily tugging on his shirt. "Dad, what if we could open our cafe together? Just think. You could make moon food, and I'd be your taste tester." Her bright imagination brought a smile to his face. Could they really turn dreams into reality? "Let us make it a plan," he assured, his voice filled with hope. What if one day we opened a place together?" But he was still whispering those possibilities when the phone rang yet again. This time, it felt heavier in his hand. What if it was Martin needing something big, something he wasn't ready for yet? "Dad," Lily interrupted, "will it be a dream come true?" Jake looked down at his daughter's expectant face, and at that moment, a new wave of determination washed over him. He would find a way to balance it all. He would make sure that both dreams had a place to flourish. As he answered the call, a mix of excitement and trepidation filled the room. Would it truly be possible to take a leap into this new venture while nurturing his child's dreams too? And with that thought lingering, he wondered what changes awaited him in this journey, and would he have what it took to make it all happen? Jake's heart raced as he pressed the phone to his ear. Martin's voice burst through, full of business chatter and statistics. As he tried to catch every word, visions of his kitchen adventure with Lily floated through his mind, contrasting the sterile world of spreadsheets and meetings. "Jake, are you there?" Martin's voice cut through the haze. "Yeah, sorry," Jake replied, shaking himself back into focus. "What's up?" "Big news about that investor we discussed. He's keen to meet next week. We could really make this happen, Jake." Excitement and anxiety churned within him. The thought of the meeting sent a rush through his veins. This was the breakthrough he'd been hoping for, yet the weight of leaving Lily behind for long hours gnawed at him. "Okay, sounds great," he said, forcing his voice to be steady. After he hung up, Jake felt the air shift around him. The thrill of opportunity sprang to life, but that heaviness in his chest returned. He couldn't shake the feeling that balancing this new ambition and being a good father would be tougher than any recipe he'd ever concocted. "Dad, are you okay?" Lily's innocent question startled him out of his thoughts. She was staring up at him, a slight frown creasing her forehead. "Yeah, just thinking about moon food," he said, squatting down to meet her gaze. "What should we add next?" Her eyes sparkled with mischief. "What if we added magic sprinkles and made everyone who sips it laugh?" "Perfect idea." He beamed, his heart lightening. They dove back into their creations, spinning tales as they mixed. The radiant energy they shared began stitching together the fabric of his worries. Later that evening, after they cleaned up their kitchen mess, Jake curled up on the couch, with Lily snuggled against him. As she drifted off to sleep, he couldn't help but marvel at how she had created a world so vibrant and joyous, one where dreams weren't just for the distant future, they were clamoring to be realized today. But even as sleep claimed his daughter, Jake's mind raced. Would he be able to make those dreams come alive? Could a simple cafe indeed transform their lives and provide the stability both he and Lily craved? Each possibility clashed within him, the excitement of new beginnings versus the fear of failure. That night, he couldn't find rest. He pored over notes for the meeting, trying to balance numbers and projections with his passion. Ideas flowed like the smoothie they had made earlier, rich and bursting with flavor, but the endless possibilities were dizzying. By morning, Jake felt like he was on the verge of something profound, but what? He grabbed a notepad, determined to pen down all his thoughts. Listing the pros and cons, he found his courage echoing in his heart. But when he reached for the pen, the nagging uncertainty whispered, what if he couldn't provide for Lily? What if they lost everything? As the sunlight poured through the window, illuminating their kitchen in a golden glow, Jake paused. The idea of open shelves filled with jars of fresh ingredients, laughter spilling from the cafe they could create together, felt like a calling. It was pushing him towards something larger than himself. Just then, the phone rang again, another opportunity or maybe a complication. Jake inhaled deeply, racing to answer. "Hello. Jake. It's Martin again," the voice came through, a new excitement buzzing at the end. "I just got off the line with our investor. He's ready to support us, but he wants to know how passionate you are about this venture. Are you in?" Jake's pulse quickened, and a rush of determination surged within him. Would he unveil his heart and soul to this venture? As he opened his mouth to reply, a small voice echoed in his mind, "Will it be a dream come true?" The question lingered like a thread, weaving between fatherhood and ambition. Could he bridge the gap without losing what mattered most? And as the weight of that moment settled around him, Jake realized that saying yes could change everything. But would he be prepared for what it might cost him? His answer hung in the air, heavy with unspoken promises. Jake stood in the softly lit kitchen, surrounded by the warmth of memories and the vibrant laughter of his daughter drifting from the living room. The sun cast gentle beams through the window, illuminating the remnants of their pancake-making adventure. Each plate piled high, each smile exchanged, felt like a victory, a testament to the bond they shared and the life they were carving out for themselves. That he glanced down at the phone in his hand, the weight of Martin's decision hanging in the air like the smell of freshly baked bread. "Are you in?" echoed in his mind. The stakes felt monumental, but so did the hearts that depended on him. His dreams merged with Lily's world in a way he hadn't anticipated. Taking a deep breath, he decided to seize the moment. "I'm all in," he said, the words tumbling forth as if they had been waiting in the wings. "Let's create something magical." The resolve in his voice surprised him, bringing forth a warmth that enveloped him like a bear hug. When he heard Martin's cheerful response, it ignited a new flame within him, bright against the backdrop of the challenges ahead. "Fantastic. Let's meet tomorrow and iron out the details." "Your vision is something we can make happen," Martin exclaimed, enthusiasm palpable through the phone. They hung up, and in that instant, Jake felt lighter, as if the clouds pressuring him had split apart just enough to allow the sun to shine through. Jake turned to see Lily walking in, her tiny hands clutching King Snuggles, her loyal teddy bear. "Daddy, can we read stories before bed?" she asked, her voice sweet and earnest. "Of course, Pumpkin," he replied, scooping her up, the weight of his triumph still dancing at the edges of his soul. As they settled into the cozy nook of the living room, Jake read aloud from her favorite storybook, the rhythmic cadence of his voice wrapping around them like a warm blanket. With every page turned, he reflected on what awaited them, the unknown yet exciting path toward their cafe dreams. While that ambition blossomed in his heart, nothing felt as solid as the love he held for Lily in these shared quiet moments. After the last story, as Lily's eyelids grew heavy, she nestled against him and whispered with her innocent wonder, "Daddy, is our cafe going to be like King Snuggles' royal feast?" Jake chuckled softly, smoothing her hair as she drifted off. "Yes, sweetie. It'll be a feast full of magic, love, and surprises, just like you," he promised, warmth pooling in his chest. The next day approached swiftly, but Jake welcomed it with a new perspective. The meetings, numbers, and projections loomed ahead, yet they felt different now, overflowing with potential. In the early hours, he armed himself with checklists, ideas, and memories of laughter shared over melting cheese and steaming dishes. When he arrived at the cafe, the scent of roasted coffee beans mixed with the day's promise fueled his anticipation. Martin welcomed him warmly, and together they laid out their vision, blending creativity and practicality. They discussed themes, menus inspired by the stars, and yes, even moon cookies for Lily's dreams, their ideas woven intricately like a rich tapestry of flavors and hope. As he shared his vision with a relentless passion, Jake felt the pieces clicking into place. Each word poured out, each dish they crafted together painted a vivid picture of what the cafe could be, a haven of laughter, memories, and family gatherings. With the investors' involvement, opportunities began to cascade. They secured a location, a bustling spot at the heart of the community, where laughter echoed through families and friends just like his own. Ideas turned to plans to installations, paving the way toward a place that would carry his signature as a chef and a father. But while excitement bloomed, his commitments also transformed. Long hours in the kitchen would mean late dinners and missed story time. Sacrifices he prayed would be worth the dreams they were manifesting. Still, through it all, he would make time for Lily. He'd celebrate the little victories, cook Together on weekends, and never lose sight of what brought them joy in the first place, the opening day finally arrived, a swirling tempest of nerves and elation. As Jake stood at the front of the cafe, preparing to open the doors to the world, he felt Lily's hand slip into his. "Are you ready, Dad?" Jake smiled down at his little queen, the bright spark of admiration in her eyes igniting his heart. "With you by my side, I know I am." Together, they pushed open the door, the scent of comfort food wafted through the air as families poured in, laughter and chatter bubbling around them. Jake realized that it was more than a cafe, it was a celebration of life, love, and community. Through their smiles, his journey of grief morphed into a banquet of joy. As people dug into dishes inspired by his creations with lily moon pies and giddy star-shaped cookies, he saw the reflection of every recipe birthed out of love. As the day rolled into evening, amidst the clattering of plates and sweet melodies of laughter, Jake felt a surreal happiness settle in. Just as he had hoped, success came wrapped in every shared meal, every cheerful gasp from children tasting the galactic smoothie, the cafe embedding joy into the heart of the community. In that bustling space filled with love, Jake cast a glance toward Lily, who was busy handing out cookies and exchanging giggles with the customers. She turned to him, beaming, her spirit shimmering like the moon's glow. In that moment, he knew they had truly transformed their pain, creating something beautiful from it. They were fueled by hope, lifting each other up in a world of culinary wonder, and as he worked to build their dreams, Jake felt an unwavering sense of promise. He wouldn't just be the chef of the cafe but the architect of memories, adventure, and love, capturing every twinkle beneath the stars. He realized, with full heart and radiant smile, that this journey was just the beginning. It would continually evolve, for every meal shared would be more than just nourishment, it would be the laughter, support, and warmth that would forever bind a father and daughter in the most beautiful of transformations, a recipe for love that could withstand anything. So now, it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that'll warm your heart just like Jake and Lily's. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let us know you want more. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about this ending. Did it inspire you? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this remarkable transformation. You need to support the channel because only true fans recognize how important it is to keep this journey alive.